Hello there, everyone.
Yes, welcome back to our podcast, to the Footy and Grand Prix podcast. This is our second run for our entire existence, and what a way to begin today's episode. Because, well, in the Formula One world, Bahrain Grand Prix has just finished a few minutes ago, so we're really up to speed in the recording side as well. So, yeah, it's the first race of the season. We've got a lot of hype from the testings and the practice sessions and the quali. So, well, it's the race. So it's a crazy result, right? So Ferrari getting a 1-2. Leclerc has won the race. Sainz is second. And well, what can you say about that, Carl? You're a Ferrari fan. You get to go first because it's your moment of glory after a long, long period of shame.
Yeah, for maybe 3 years, I think we can say officially say Ferrari's back.
Grande
Ferrari's back.
lavoro.
Ferrari is back, baby.
So, well, Ferrari is, for now, they're back. But going down further, the results, Hamilton and Russell are Merc 3 and 4. Eh, what do you think? I mean, they've been really bad the whole weekend, and they managed to get lucky again.
Yeah, they've been comfortably the third best team. They aren't close with the Red Bulls and the Ferraris in this race, but they stuck in there. They got lucky, so they got third and fourth. Lucky haul of points for them.
So the reason we say that the Merc got lucky again is that the starting order in the race, right, was a sandwich or was an alternate between Ferrari and Red Bull. So Leclerc got P1, Verstappen P2, and Sainz 3 and Checo 4. But it 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 something. This race is really we thought it would be a royal battle between Ferrari and Red Bull, but let's go to what happened in the race for today. So I think that we have really seen that yeah, there's some ground to Ferrari being back because Charles starting from pole and winning from pole is we saw it today. But what happened with the battle in between Max and between Max and Charles and Red Bull and Ferrari?
I think between Max and Charles, it was a great battle, back and forth. Max tried, but uh, because of the superior straight line speed of the Red Bull engine. However, Ferrari really had the pace overall. So Charles was able to overcome those overtakes. And especially in turn four, even during the interview with Martin Brundle, he was able to expound that he used the DRS zone really smartly. He tried to be deceitful and he succeeded. Max couldn't catch him despite all of the other tricks and strategies by Red Bull. They had the best pace overall. Because if you look at the top 10, mostly are Ferrari engines. Most
Right,
of the
and
teams.
so and then I thought about well, when they were battling during the second stint after the pits. So because in the first stint, right, nothing really big happened apart from Checo falling a bit behind and Bottas losing his good quali spot, and because quali really gave us the information that Ferrari engines are the engines to use and the Mercs are not. So we saw some big surprises over quali, right? So we saw the Haas's Magnussen qualified in the top 10 and Mick was in the top 15 and Bottas was also in the top 10. But once the race started, it shook things up and it was more on the midfield where things were shaken up, right?
Yeah, it was really an interesting battle. And seeing Magnussen up there, really, it's really uh, it's exciting to see him up there because we saw him suffer in the 2020 season, where Haas barely made it into the points.
Yeah.
So seeing him battle behind Lewis was great to see. Lewis and George.
And yeah, since Ferrari were on the up, Merc were on the down, were the McLaren's woes started in qualifying, and basically what they started in qualifying, they continued in the race. They had a horrible, horrible race today.
Yeah, they had. I think Norris was complaining about. I think it was Stroll that hit him initially, but there was no action taken by the stewards. And Ricardo fell back, as in fell back into 20th place. He was lucky he finished 14th today.
Yeah. And McLaren even tried to go the long route, right? They tried to go on the mediums, I think, in the first stint, but it didn't really work out for them today.
Yep, it
And
just failed on the.
even I thought that maybe if the teams or if the other teams around them were to pit for their first pit stops, then they would climb. But no, nothing really happened. And how about speaking of that first 2 second stint transition? How about that battle between Max and Charles? I mean, it was, I thought, before the next events of this race, I thought this battle was going to be the main talking point, of being another whole year of Max type of battle, but instead of being Lewis, it's gonna be Charles. But we'll get into the other details later, but how about that fight? I mean, that was really something, that was really back to back battle when Max got the lead off the DRS in turn one, and then Charles got the lead back, and then Max tried again, got the lead back again, and Leclerc did the same, and just Max trying. He almost did the undercut well. The gap between him and Charles after the first pits was around 3 seconds, and he got it back to point three, and that's where the ding dong battle started. But what can you say? I mean, your boy, he did something right today.
I think he really had the confidence growing back in Maranello. So it shows with the team. They're more positive, jovial, compared to the 2020 season wherein they were so downbeat on the
Yeah.
strategies. I think they got it everything right. They covered the undercut by Red Bull. They reacted brilliantly. I, I think it was the perfect race for them, and they had the race pace. So even though Red Bull tried some tricks, it didn't work because overall they had the pace and they covered up almost everything that Red Bull threw at them, even the kitchen sink. And then luckily for them, the Red Bull engines just conquered
Well,
out.
we're gonna go into into the latter part of the race, but I think if the race finished without that tertiary part of the Grand Prix, we would be talking about that battle, because Max and Leclerc go way back in their incidents. You see this Charles talked about the incidents in between him and Max, even back in karting, and then they had the battle in Austria 2019, right? And then in Silverstone as well of the same season. And to see them resume it, it was I thought it was really going to be a great curtain raiser. But then after that ding dong battle, the race flew by, and it became a bit of a snore fest. That's not to say that because there were some good battles, and I think Guang Yizhou, for all of the jokes that people throw at him, he's done well. To he has had some good battles against Albon and some of the other guys in the midfield as well. And well, what can you say about his performance? I think he was good for considering the first race.
Yep, I think considering he's the only rookie, he took it to Schumacher when they were battling for the places before the safety car. They were really
Mm.
going at it. I think he's a clean racer. Didn't have the spins compared to Mazepin, so I think he's better at that for in that regard. So I think he's done good in the points in his first race. I think the 66th driver to get points in his
Points.
debut.
Yeah.
Double points finish for Alfa Romeo. I think they couldn't ask more other than that. It was great for them. And he did
Yep.
well, the boy.
So yeah, if we're gonna summarize the race, there's this first part wherein there's the start and then the Max and Leclerc ding dong, and then the second part after the first pit stop where was the kind of a lull wherein we feared that we were getting the boring race of 2019, and then the third and most chaotic part, which is kind of like 2021, is like the part where some guy named Pierre Gasly using Honda engines just his car had an electrical issue according to Sky Sports, so he had to retire. And at first they called the VAC actually, and then the safety car was called out at around lap 45, 47, around that period. So the safety car went out, and we got some kind of mayhem in the aftermath.
Before that, we saw the new rules regarding the safety car. The all lap cars would be allowed to go through the leaders and the safety car. So I think the controversial ruling from Abu Dhabi has
Abu
been,
Dhabi.
I think, cleared out with the new rules. I think it's much more clearer, not subject to abuse and interpretation.
I agree with that. I mean, it's very important for rules to be enforced clearly, but I still hate the fact that some British Lewis fans are still crying about it. Ted Kravitz from Sky Sports, Ted Kravitz from Sky Sports is still crying about it. He said he's just getting over the events of Abu Dhabi and we have to deal with it again. But come on, Brit, get over it. And so when the restart happened, we had some apparently this Gasly retirement was a what would they say about that when something happens foreshadowing of the events to come for the Honda engine or the Red Bull powertrains. Do they call themselves that now?
I think so. I think so. I think it's Red Bull powertrains now. It's bad for them. It's bad for them. The Gasly one, really, I did not expect that Max and Checo would have the same fate. I
Yeah,
thought it would be an isolated incident.
so after the restart, so Charles was P1 and Max was still in P2, Sainz P3, and Checo was in P4. So they were sandwiched. I mean, some action happened between where Checo overtook Lewis without any kind of effort. But after the safety car, that was the running order again, and then the unexpected thing happened. The engine issues that seems to have affected Pierre. Uh, it was really a kind of a confusion, right? Because first we thought that Max's tire was not fitted properly, a la Roman Grosjean, and then he was talking about steering issues, and then all of a sudden we see his engine dying, and essentially P2 became DNF, and
Yes.
just that gave Ferrari a free one to what a lucky team.
No. One free one to end the P3 for Lewis. I think the luckiest P3 ever.
Luckiest P3 ever. Be because they were nowhere, right? Because
Yep,
really
they were
this
no.
weekend it was just about Ferrari and Red Bull, but uh, I mean, really, Merc got lucky because first Max engine died, and then second, when Checo was on his way to a podium finish because Max was already gone, with 2 laps left, he just spun his car on engine on turn one because of the engine conking out, and then suddenly Hamilton and Russell find themselves in third and fourth.
And it was really a lucky one for Mercedes. I think they didn't. They, I think their expectations really were at least fifth or fourth if someone crashes or whatnot. But they got lucky with this podium. I think Lewis was very thankful for the podium. during his interview with Brundle.
I was so mad that I didn't even watch the phone. Red Bull just honestly they have a problem, but we'll break down the team performances in a while. But they have a really high challenge of trying to get that constructors again. And for Max, his title defense is obviously not the best one. Let's just say that. But Ferrari, we know your thoughts about Ferrari. They won, whatever. Who cares?
Whatever, I have nothing to add. They were spot on today. Remains to be seen if it will be all throughout the season. It's still race one.
Yeah, it's still race one. And what surprised me actually is that even the pit stops, even the timings of the pit stops, they got it right. They reacted correctly to how Red Bull tried to undercut them. And at the end of the day, they were able to get Charles and Carlos into a good position relative to where the Red Bulls were over the two pit stops before, the the conking out happened. And so let's go to Red Bull as well next because it's very convenient. Red Bull, a lot of work to be done.
They seem to lack some pace. I think we expected them to be top because of the promising performances during practice. I mean, practice and the
Qualifying, yeah.
qualifying. They were promising. They were close to Ferrari, but I think they didn't just have enough pace today. And then the engine conks out. I think really terrible for them, especially if they want to compete with the other constructors for the constructor championship. This was a missed opportunity for them. Drop points.
Really, there was a missed opportunity because 2 and 4 is 18 plus 12 points, and I think Checo had the fastest lap.
So 31 points.
Uh, yeah,
So
31 points. But instead, Merck gets a free 27 points. Oh my goodness. But what I think Red Bull have lost some pace, even in qualifying, because to have max P2 against a Ferrari, I mean, it seems that they haven't lost the straight line speed, but elsewhere is, I don't know, a bit not improved. And unlike last year, I feel you feel the confidence when they run on the track that they will always, get at least in the podium places. But I feel like it's been a little bit more shaky. It's just the first race, but let's see where they will, go because Abu Dhabi is another, sorry, Saudi is another circuit. Like it's a fast circuit again. We'll see if the straight line speed is because we saw the straight line speed today. So let's see if that helps them or if the curves of that kind of circuit, I mean, may hurt them. But you alluded it earlier today that when we referred to the powertrains thing of Red Bull.
I think they lacked the reliability of last season. I think it was a rare occurrence if they have a DNF due to the engine, and this is really weird. Might even spark some flashbacks of McLaren's Honda years in the mid to late 2000, 2010s. So I think they might be able to change it, but only a few days until the next race. So remains to be seen if they have to upgrade the engine now to avoid further DNFs. It might affect their season.
Right. So let's see if Red Bull are going to do something about that. Now, Mercedes, they were nowhere. They got a podium and they got fourth. The luckiest team ever. Who cares? They've done it over and over. I mean, Lewis looked really sluggish even when Checo was already reporting some issues. He couldn't really catch it up to Checo, and I think they're just going to continue to have problems until Toto Wolff and co realize what's happening in the car. in the purposing that apparently still plagues them currently. I think until they fix that, they're going to be in fifth and sixth, or depending on where Red Bull puts their engine.
Yeah, I have to agree with that. I think it's their current position in the grid, and they'll be lucky to pick up some podiums if some of the teams maybe crash or there's some unbelievable circumstance again. I think that will be their realistic expectation for the season. They can't aspire unless they upgrade the engine and the car because I think the focusing I think it affected both of them. The tires didn't seem to work. We couldn't see the Lewis magic of old, so it's the car. The car really didn't fit.
And George just, George just rode around. He was like nowhere and he got fourth also, given the
Super
expectations with George.
super under the radar performance. If you would have done this with the Williams, there would be more TV coverage. But since it was with the
It's already
Mercedes,
a Mercedes, yeah.
yeah, so no less coverage for George today.
Right. And more coverage for this team. Fourth last year, they're in the bottom. McLaren, really awful.
Yeah, really terrible performance with McLaren today. They had no pace at all.
They were nowhere. Ricardo and Lando, bottom 15. Well, for the majority of the race, not until before those DNFs. They really need. Have McLaren got it wrong?
I think so. I think they have some issues with the car. I think they came out for the braking issues. I think Seidel mentioned that braking issues with the McLaren. I think they haven't fixed that, and I think they have some changes to the aero because they had no pace today. Really slow.
Yeah,
They
it's one
couldn't
thing to say that Ferrari and Jins have been better this with the development this season, and Merc have fallen behind, but you don't fall behind by that much, so there must be something wrong in the team itself.
Yep, they might have to make some adjustments coming coming to the next race. They have to do those because it's apparent that they couldn't compete with the other engine manufacturers,
Even
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 Alpha.
Mick Schumacher overtook them. I mean, it's when I saw Mick overtake Lando, it was just really embarrassing for them. Uh,
Yep, it's a new low for this season for the
and
past
speaking of Merc issues, Aston Martin also McLaren like well, what the hell? I mean, Aston Martin has had huge expectations of being in Formula One, but today Hulkenberg 17th and Stroll is 12th. That's nowhere where Aston Martin wants to be.
yep, really they have the same issue with McLaren. I think they have some issues to sort out with the car, and I think the engine really it really took a hit with the new fuels. I think they were of those among affected by the new regulation changes for this season.
Yep.
So it depends on how they will adjust. Maybe with Seb next week available, they might. I think depends on how they change the setup because like with McLaren, they had no pace.
And Alpine still languishing in, I mean, some good. This is if Renault wants to challenge, this is gotta be more than this. But they're again in the midfield. Some decent points. Ocon seventh and Nando is ninth. Decent points. I mean, what do they have to do to get it? They can't seem to get out of that midfield.
I think they really have to take some risk with the strategy and maybe finish higher in qualifying because with the improvements of the Ferrari based constructors, they might be having a hard time even entering the top 10.
Yep. Because in the last season, they were just worried about the Mercs and the Alphas and the McLarens, and now they've got Ferrari to look at.
Yep, they have to be really concerned about that because in my opinion, they're at least third in the engine manufacturers. in terms of pace, but yeah. So they could battle as some of, for example, Alpha Tauri, but they couldn't really compete with the Haas or the Alfa Romeos today.
The Ferrari teams, yeah, the Ferrari sponsored teams. They could really keep up, and then it's a big thing because Renault is like only the third or one out of three or four engine suppliers. So if they want to get customer teams, they have to get it right because that's where they get also income, and it
Correct.
will give them more competitiveness if they were themselves were competitive. And last of the Mercs, the Williams. I mean, it's kind of a half-half because they were overtaking the Merc teams, the McLarens and the Astons, and but they were overtaken themselves by AlphaTauri. I mean, Albon 13th. That's no. I think last season that's where George was putting the car, but that was in the first half of the season. In the second half, they were putting it in Q3 already. So it's a bit of a regression for them. Maybe
Yep.
so I think for the Merc related teams, they've suffered. It's surprising, but it seems like they've suffered the least outside Mercedes.
I think so, but they haven't really improved that much too. So it's like staying in the same position. Some teams went up, some teams went down, and they're still in the same place as last season. But I think Albon did an okay job. Okay, okay would be the right term for it. Placing it 13 is okay for a Williams, considering that the Merc engine seems to be out of sorts today.
Yeah, out of sort, but Williams, at least I think they've got some. I don't know if they've got some things right or the Mercs were just bad that they were automatically four cars behind them. But we will see in the next race. So I've saved the best for last for our listeners, mate. I've got the Ferrari trio, well, duo, but so Alpha and Haas, cellar dwellers last year. Alfa Romeo 13 points, ninth. Haas, egg, zero, nada, zip. And, well, Kevin Magnussen, P5. Even in quali, I was really surprised. K-Mag got put his car in the top 5 in quali. I think top 5. And Mick, P11 today for the Alpha. Wang Yizhou, 10th rookie. We talked about it briefly earlier. And Valtteri Bottas, 6th. So that's 5th for Haas and 6th for Alpha. What a surprise.
It was, but I wasn't surprised when they performed well during qualifying. I was only concerned that they might drop down during the race because of the race pace. But I was concerned about that with the Ferrari engines. But I think it showed that that engine really had more more to showcase. The race pace really was great for Magnussen. I think he was toe to toe with the Mercs of
I
Russell
mean,
and
because
Hamilton.
we tend to take testing with a grain of salt, right? When we saw that the timings of K-Mag, we thought, quali, this is not gonna happen. But that was the surprising part when Saturday came and he got into Q3 and he got P5 and then Bottas. He challenged as well in the sessions. I mean, he got ahead of George and with people overhyping or not overhyping but hyping George and Bottas still gets above him in a bloody Alfa Romeo, right? It's gotta be a memeable thing. But
Yeah,
well, are they going forward? Is it the Ferrari or is it also them? Is it a combination?
I really think it's a combination of them them getting better and the engine getting much better than before. Um, with the increased tunnel time and also the new regs, I think they prepared for it very well. I think it shows today that they're planning. I think even has tanked last season, so all their tanking last season is reaping rewards.
The
We
Mazepin
should
money
say,
went to good use.
yeah, it went to great.
So I have, well, before I close this Formula One part, got two questions then. Mick Schumacher versus K-Mag. K-Mag is, well, he's experienced, but he's been away for a year still. Mick, rookie, hyped, P11.
I think it will remain the same. I think Magnussen will get the better Mick, but I think mid part to the end part of the season, I think Mick will get it together. Maybe get some few points and maybe beat Kevin because I think it's in his DNA. He always performs better during the his second
Sure, yeah.
season. So I'm expecting maybe a much closer difference between the two Haas drivers.
And Haas versus Alpha. I'm not sure where this will end up because it will depend on two newbies as well. But Haas versus Alpha, Haas is on top right now.
I think Alpha has a race winner. I think Bottas might carry them.
Right, yeah, yeah, it will carry them. But yeah, well, we'll see. What an exciting first race. There are many questions. And as usual with our curtain opener, we've been blessed again with some hashtag blessed content today. And well, next race, Abu Dhabi, Saudi Arabia. This is already on next week. So as we alluded to earlier, less time for the teams who got it wrong today to get it right. Less time for them to fix the nitty-gritty details. And Ferrari and Ferrari related customers, less time to celebrate. But I mean, what a race weekend! I mean, for teams to throw up this kind of surprises to us, right? We could not have gotten a better follow-up to last year's. Oh my lord, to last year's car racing.
Yeah, it's a great start, really. And Ferrari's back, baby. Ferrari's back.
Ferrari's back for now.
For now.
I mean, right. I mean, that to be fair, I don't see yet where meltdown for Ferrari will happen. They were just flawless today, but enough talking about them. I hate them. I know a lot of our listeners will love Ferrari, but I'm not like what Seb said that everybody's a Ferrari fan.
Well, everyone
So,
is.
yeah,
So,
Saudi Arabia, that kind of circuit, straight lines, high speed.
yeah, it might favor the two teams again. I think Red Bull and Merc have that. No, Red Bull and Ferrari have the advantage. Merc has a lot of things to catch up.
Have a lot of work to do. But before then, but until then, let's look out. March 27 on the UK and 28 of the early morning here in the Asian side of things. And speaking of things happening in the early morning of Asia, Champions League. So quarterfinals already. Let's just go quickly through the ties of the Champions League and the Europa League because nobody really wants to talk about the Conference League. That's really irrelevant. Champions League, Benfica, and well, I'm not gonna say the name of the club because they're part of the SCUM top six super leagues. That's why last in our pilot episode, I've been calling the team in the city called Liverpool the Redbirds. So Benfica versus Redbirds. Surely
It
not.
is.
Surely we don't need to talk about this.
Uh, but stranger things have happened. I mean, I think
It's football.
most of us really expected Ajax to go through, but Benfica's here. They played their part. They beat Ajax, so I think they have a slight shot. But considering the squad of the Merseyside,
Apparently, Benfica have the god legend Adel Tawab.
well, he's been performing well. I think as a team they've been performing well, so I think they have a shot. But with the front three of the team from Merseyside. I think they will always have a shot.
I will always have a shot. Yep. And next tie, both ties, by the way, are on April 6th of the morning. This is Etihad Blues versus Red Madrid Cojones.
For,
I'm going for the Blues.
but it might be close. I think Simeone might frustrate Pep with the tactics, even if uh, even if Oblak is struggling this season. I think with that defensive unit, I think even
And you
the
can
Manchester.
never count out the power of Luis Suarez. His bite, I mean, the bite of his attacks.
Yep, and I think Griezmann has been slowly uh, shedding off the cobwebs from the Barca bench.
Yeah, and Joao Felix with the huge fee. He's like Torres. I mean, he's unlike Torres. Torres just pays it one time, big time. He pays it in installments. He's been getting good performances for the Red Cojones Club.
Yep, he has been. And he will be a threat for against the citizens, the blue side of Manchester. Yeah, it will be close, but I think it's a close tie. It's 50-50. No, 55-45. Depends on the situation because we've seen Pep bottle these ties, these easy
Yeah,
to conquer ties. So it might go the other way.
I mean, Pep has bottled the Champions League for the last few years, so fair point. Then the next one on the April 7th, both of these, Villarreal, really unexpected for me that Villarreal, who got in this tournament, by the way, by beating your Red Devils in
Yeah,
the Europa League final. They're playing Bayern. I think Bayern got this, but depending on what kind of defense they will, perform.
that's. I'm concerned about Bayern's defense. Villarreal has quick players. They might punish Bayern
On the
if
break.
Bayern. Yeah,
Because
I
that's
think
how they punish the old lady from Monte Calcio.
by the team from Turin. I think they have a shot. Considering, I think Upamecano has been really setting the world alight with his performances,
Yeah,
and
shouldn't have stolen RB's players, Byron.
and then the injuries to Davis. I think the heart problem. He hasn't come back, so I think they have holes in the back.
They have
And
holes to
now
be exploited.
I have this trust of Unai Emery to somehow conjure a miracle from this. He thrives in these situations, and
Well, good evening to him.
he has quick players too. I think we shouldn't discount Villarreal, the Yellow Submarine. No,
Yeah.
not a chance to
And with
really
Unai
discount.
Emery, with this Spanish sides, he tends to have some kind of defensive acumen.
Yup. With I think it's strong backline. Yup. They we faced them in the group stages and they farther than us in the Champions League. Yeah, they have a shot really. They have a strong backline and solid defense, quick players. So it's not as straightforward as you think it is.
And then the last ties also on April 7th. Well, it's the Blue Oligarchs from London, whose owner just got sanctioned and who's looking to sell the club. And they're playing against Papa Perez Madridiots. I think Madridiots have this.
I have a feeling that they have this, but Tuchel can conjure up the sort of
I mean,
something.
it's not like a big margin. It's just like individually they have Benzema, they have Vinicius, and I think they have a good keeper.
Thibaut. They got Thibaut. Yeah, I
He's
think
formerly from London.
they have his old club. Yeah, they have a shot. But it depends if on the blue side if I think Lukaku will finally go into form or Havertz carry them or even Werner. they've been lacking goals from the striker department. So it depends if
Hmm.
any of them will score because they've been relying on defenders, midfielders, and their wing backs to score. So it's a tight battle, but with the individual quality, I think the the Rocky Blanc, no, no, incorrect club.
Not that's other the
White,
white Madrid yachts.
yeah, White Madrid might, uh, I think a slight margins, I think 1 nil, something like that. It might be close,
If
tight.
if the same kind of performance from London Blues from the Champions League final happens, they will win this. Anything short of that, they will lose it.
Agree with that. Agree with that.
And next, the B tier, the B tier Europa League. I'll just read the ties. Atalanta versus RB Leipzig. I Ever since Atalanta did well in the Italian league and in the Champions League, I've always been rooting for them. So I think they win this one. I don't really care about any other things RB may throw. I don't know. I haven't followed the Bundesliga closely enough to see if they are playing good or playing so-so. But
I
I
think
think,
they've improved. They fired Jesse Marsh, who now coaches the
yeah,
Leeds, the
finally.
Leeds. Yep. But
And
this might be an entertaining tie, full of goals.
yeah, because the Atalanta especially, they've never shed their attacking image. Even I mean, how many seasons are there before when they got famous first? It was before the beginning of COVID, and right now they still have that same similar playing style or similar reputation.
Yep, attacking football. Good for the neutrals, I think.
Good for the neutrals. The next one, and I'm really happy about this, and Spencer Owen from Spencer FC should be West Ham and Lyon. Lyon, they've been doing good in Ligue 1, I think, but it's West Ham. I
Yeah, I
mean,
have.
Lyon are mid-table, but so West Ham, well, what has David Moyes got to do? He's flying this season.
Yeah, but it might take a toll on their league campaign. But if they want to go for Champions League, I think this will be their best route.
So I think West Ham have a chance. Let's just say that.
Oh yeah, of course they have but they have to put all their eggs on this basket instead of the league because this
They're
will take a lot
floundering in
from
the
their
league.
players. Yep. They're floundering for top four, so I think they have a shot at this. They might face other bigger clubs in the semi. So yeah, they have to go for this with Declan Rice. I think Yarmolenko is playing well for Ukraine.
Yarmolenko is playing well. He did score the winner against Sevilla.
Yeah, they have a shot. They can win this.
I hope I love the British clubs in Europe, so I hope they can get it. And the next one, Eintracht versus the debt-ridden separatists of Catalonia. Any team who plays against that team, I will support wholeheartedly.
Yeah, I think Eintracht have a shot at this. Barcelona just uh, scraped through against Galatasaray. So
Scrape through,
I
yep.
yeah, scraped through. I think whichever team comes up wakes up on that day against Eintracht. I think Eintracht can punish them.
Hmm.
They can be good on their day. Same as Barcelona, they could be good on their day, but
And
sometimes they
Aubameyang has suddenly found his scoring boots.
yeah, he's suddenly rediscovered his form.
He
So
just
yeah,
wanted to get away from London, the mug.
yeah, it yeah, we can see that.
And finally, the Rangers of Glasgow against Braga. Well, you know me, I love British clubs in Europe, even though they've done the Brexit. But Rangers for me. I mean, to see them back into this level in Europe, I mean, after all that they've done, well, if you're of Celtic persuasion, you may argue that it's a zombie club, but seeing them back into the quarterfinals of a European competition. That's why I want them to win this tie.
Yeah, but I think they have a shot. They also have Loney from our club, Ahmad. So he might play, he might not. But I think they have a shot at winning this. But I think this will be a tight fixture between these clubs.
hmm So, ties to be played in April. So, not nearly as there as the Formula One events, but exciting European ties anyway. We'll get to see who lifts the big ears and the Europa Trophy and who gets what at the end of the season. And well, it's our tradition here in this podcast any to go everything about everything local, but we only have one local news to go over today, and that's well the upcoming we have the national team of the Philippines has released the squad that they will be going with and what kind in what is this the friendlies with the Singapore and Malayan.
Yeah, they're calling it the Tri Nations Cup between Philippines, Malaysia, and Singapore. So it's quite fun to be part of something with our ASEAN neighbors.
Like fine, we flopped big time in the AFF Championship, so I guess this is another way to prepare for the World Cup qualifiers again.
Yep, I think so.
Given the impact of the pandemic on the conditions of our some of the players. So goalkeepers, let's start with that. Neil Etheridge. Anyone of you who follows the championship in England knows Neil Etheridge plays for Birmingham. If you don't know, for you. And well, Kevin Ray Hansen, who has been playing in the Malaysian League for Kuala Lumpur, and also Kamerad from the ADT. So basically, we kind of think that it's a toss-up between Hansen and Etheridge.
Yep, it depends if uh, the coach uh, wants Etheridge to start or maybe Hansen if he likes to go with the familiar ones because I think this will be Etheridge's first game in an Ascot jersey for a long time. It's been a long time.
I mean, I would
Quite
like to see him back because I mean, here in ASEAN, we don't really see players like that caliber. We're not as much as we want to improve. We're not really up there with the powerhouses of this continent. But I think everyone will learn from Etheridge being back in the squad, even Hansen, even himself. So it's just good to see him back because he's been gone for a while.
agree. I think he would like to start, but depends on the coach really.
Yep. And let's see what the coach persuasions are. So anyways, defenders, six are called up by Darren Khan of Buriram. That's a Thai club. Demurga, Carly Demurga from JDT, who, well, anyone who, well, they're the biggest club in Malaysia, and they've been doing some wonders in the Champions League. Justin Baas, also in Malaysia, for Melaka United. Enrique Linares, UD San Pedro, Sato Daisuke, in Thailand, plays in Ratchaburi, and Amani Aguinaldo, who is also in Thailand, Norongwa Pichaya. And no local players. That's a good and a bad thing.
Yeah, but I think we really need to blood in some of our foreign-based players. I think it's a sign of the times that our quality players are going abroad, not just staying in the local leagues. They might test themselves. But I think it's concerning that they haven't brought at least a center back or a fullback from the PFL. They should have
But
picked that. Yeah, but
uh,
we're not the coach. We
yeah,
don't
we're not
know.
we're not the coach, but I can see how he goes about it. You know, he goes for the experience. That's why he called Neil in the first place because if
Yep,
he didn't look to that angle, you know,
yep.
and
But we have
even
a potential debutant with Berdanka
mhm.
and Linares. They might get their first caps. I don't know if will
And
take
the
this
chemistry,
seriously.
right? Because
Yep,
if the Murga, Sato, Baas, and Amani, you can see that they have a history of being at
playing
least being
together.
in the same squad. Unlike, maybe the two other players, they will be there for chemistry reasons, since this is not really a FIFA tournament, right? So
Yep,
maybe a bit of experimenting. Midfielders, well, one, two, three, 11 of them. De Bruyker, who is also playing in Thailand, Nakton Rakshima. Harry Fall, FC Villingen. Strauss, who is in Switzerland, I think.
Germany
Kekkonen.
is in Germany.
Oh, yeah, it's good, Germany. Kekkonen. Whenever I hear Kekkonen, I always remember Kimi, but that's another thing. Kekkonen, who is already playing in Kaya FC, one of the local clubs in the Philippine League. Manny Ot in Terengganu, for that's in Malaysia. Ian Ramsey, Amani Aguinaldo's teammate in Thailand. Ingreso, Samut Prakan. Where exactly is that?
Thailand. It's in
Schrock,
Thailand too.
big Stefan Schrock, one of the biggest players, just left United City FC. So they won't have him in the Champions League. Dennis Villanueva, also from Nakton, along with De Bruyker. Olivias with ADP. Well, that's a good one because he came from ADP. And Kekonen's teammate from Kaya, Jesse Curran. So it's a mix of the old and the new, but the old guards are slowly being, what do
Phased
you
out.
say? Yeah, it's the selection is being more diluted between the old guard and the young ones like Kekonen, Curran.
Agree. Agree with that. And they're starting to distribute more cups to the younger players.
And the, it's like I think it's like two-way learning, you learn from the old players and you learn from those players who have learned abroad. So I hope that it will help in the development of the squad, not just the chemistry but the skills, because you really get skills playing in a competitive environment.
Yep, I agree with that.
And finally, the forwards. Well, I'm gonna start with Marañón because we just naturalized, not neutralized.
Natural.
Yeah, we just naturalized him, and he left UCFC as well. He's it with JDT. I mean,
With Bali.
JDT just is like a Man City. Oh shucks, I said a bad name. They're eating up the big players. But
Well,
Marañón is
they,
with them.
they can afford to pay them. So I think the players deserve it.
And if you're with JDT, it speaks something of you because Demurga is also with them.
Yep, the quality. I think international quality.
And Porteria, who is with Kirivong,
Cambodia.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Cambodia.
Cambodia.
Reichelt, who is in Thailand, and Mark Hartman, an old guard who I think replaced Marañón in UCFC. And the big one, another uh, Phil German, who we called up, is Holtmann from the Bundesliga's VfL Bochum.
Yep.
But
But
you have some news about him, right?
yeah, but unfortunately, development. He had he posted on Instagram he had COVID, so he isn't coming. Such a shame. So maybe we'll see him next FIFA window, I guess, or maybe in the off season.
Does
Maybe in
he
the
have a
FIFA.
replacement already?
I think there's no news about the possible replacement.
What do you think? I
Not.
mean, I can't come up with a name right now.
It
But
depends
we'll just.
on if it's win now or you want some youth in the squad.
I guess if it's a warm-up tournament, then the coach will maybe want to get
The
uh,
youth,
a player at his peak or a younger one.
you know, I'm looking at the possible roster. I think Wano. I think who played in the under 23s. Think he
Hmm.
might be a good shot. Scored the two goals against Timor.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
he needs to he's got a good learning curve there because of Maranhão's presence and Reichelt
yeah.
as well.
It it's transfer of technology, so it might be good for them to be integrated into the squad because purists will say that there isn't a natural Filipino in this squad.
Yeah, so I don't really care. They have our passports and they will play for us.
Agree, and they're proud of the heritage.
Mm. And uh, when are the games? When are the friendly games? They I can't recall.
23rd, on the 23rd to the 29th of March. So, yeah, we did this on time.
And because the Asian Cup games for 2023 are on June already. They really have to prepare for that. It's 3 months. It's we don't want the federation to again come into the tournament with the team ill prepared to. We want another Asian Cup.
Yeah, but it will be a tight window. So, those three games in Mongolia in June will determine if we go to the Asian Cup for the second straight year, as second straight edition.
Edition, yep. And that's why we need some big preparations for that tournament. And maybe it's why, well, it's why also we're having this friendly tournament. But well, we need to treat this more of a training camp because we just don't have the luxury of the time.
Yeah,
It's a window that we're fortunate to have, and we need to get it right.
yeah, good thing we squeeze this in into our schedule,
Right.
and we won't be hosting, so less expense for the federation.
Yep, and they'll get good facilities abroad as well. Get some prep done, and hopefully, yeah, that's what we're craving for, right? Another Asian Cup. I mean, aside from the AFF win, but Asian Cup is a bigger goal, especially with Thailand and Vietnam having done it along with us in 2019. We need to be getting, we need to be minimum getting back in the tournament.
Yep, and maybe getting out of the group stage.
Maybe if yeah, but we'll go we'll go one by one.
It's a bridge we'll cross when we get there.
Yep. So that's what we're gonna look out in the next few months. The Asian Cup, but before that the tournament. And well, it's been a crazy night. It's been a good night of discussions. Um, just to recap again, Leclerc, Ferrari 1-2 in Bahrain.
Ferrari back.
Mercedes very lucky. Ferrari is back, and the Red Bull reliability issues. Ferrari engines are back. Merc engines are out. And well, next race we will hear. We will see. We will hear. You will hear from us by then, March 28th. And well, keep safe, everyone. And final messages.
Ferrari's back, baby.
Ferrari's back. Yeah, Ferrari's back. I hate to say it. And well, I have to say it again and again, but Ferrari's back. Uh, have a good night and well, good morning already because it's already 2 o'clock here in Manila.
From wherever you are. Good morning or good night.
Good morning and happy Monday.
Thanks, everyone.
Go!
Woo!
Stop being happy. And out.